Okay, your stream is live now. Todd is going to be your co-host, and I'm going to make you host back again.
Okay, good deal. Good morning, everybody. Hi, hi, Walda. We're picking up some echo there. All right, good, thanks. And Debbie, hi.
Hi,
Good morning, welcome.
thank you.
Okay. People coming in slowly this morning, but we should have some more people coming in. So we're going to just hang out here and wait for a few more minutes before we start. Up there is Brenda coming in. Are you there, Brenda? And Tamara?
Yes.
Hello.
Okay. Hey, good morning.
All right.
So if anyone wants to turn on their video, it's right beside your mute and unmute there. It's not required, but we'd like to see you if you're okay with showing your video.
Okay.
Hey, Carol. Good to see you again.
I have two devices on, so you're going to see my name twice because sometimes my desktop just has kind of like issues and it just knocked me out. So I use both my laptop and my desktop.
Okay, all right, no problem. That's not going to hurt anything. As long as you have one of them muted, and I see you do. 'Cause otherwise, we'll get feedback, but
Yeah.
that's fine. Okay. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. While we're waiting, let's kind of just check in and see where people are coming in from. Carol, where are you located?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay, and Tamara?
Michigan.
Michigan? Okay. Almost always says somebody from Michigan. Debbie?
I'm in Chicago.
Chicago. Okay. Used to do a lot of work in Chicago. Spent a lot of time there. Nice city. Brenda?
Jack, I'm from California.
California. Okay, good. We got both coasts represented. I'm from Southport, North Carolina. And Awalda, am I saying your name right?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
From New York.
New York. Okay. All right. Great. We usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes to give people a chance to come in, but I do have a hard stop today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll probably have another few more people join us midstream here, but I do want to make sure we have plenty of time. It's a lot to cover today, like all of our classes. So let me go ahead and get started with some of the housekeeping issues. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And you should all see my slides there while I move your pictures over to my side monitor so I can see you over here. All right, there we go. And since we got a fairly small group, I'm going to leave everybody unmuted for now. But if I hear any background noise or issues with the sound, I will just go ahead and mute everyone. So before you ask a question or make a comment, please do check to make sure you're unmuted. If you're muted, just unmute yourself and ask your question. Don't need to raise a hand or anything. Just go ahead and unmute and ask your question. Would be great. And I've also opened up the chat. So if anybody's having trouble with their microphone or needs to get to us via the chat, Todd from our Get Set Up TA group is going to be here helping me monitor the chat. So you can put any questions or comments there as well. Okay, get one other thing done and then we'll get started. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started then. This is Excel Intermediate. There's an Excel Basics class that precedes this one. It's not mandatory to take that class, but we're going to pick up where that class left off. And I do want to welcome you to the class. My name is Wade Yarber, and I'll be the guide for the class this morning. Just a little bit about me, very briefly. I'm from a small town in Tennessee called Mason, Tennessee, about 500 people, really small town, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I have a PhD in experimental psychology and have taught psychology at several colleges pretty much early in my career and late in my career. Most of my career, I installed and did training for users on hospital information systems. So I've always done a lot of technology as well as psychology. And I love teaching for Get Set Up primarily because I'm teaching people that are in the class because they want to be in the class, not because their employer told them they had to go to the class. And that's what we tried to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where you can learn information you're interested in with other learners that you can interact with, as well as interacting with the guide at teaching the class. We like to make it very informal and interactive. The session is being recorded, and any participant can request a copy of that recording just by emailing help@getsetup.io. And I'm going to put that in the chat window in case you don't have that email already in your that email address in your email contacts. Go ahead and copy that. At the end of the class, during the closing slides, I'll talk about some other ways you might want to use that same email address. We're also live streaming the class today, and I want to welcome anyone that's joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining us as well. But I do want to suggest that the best way to get the full Get It Set Up experience is to go ahead and register for a class at our website. That way you can interact with the other learners as well as interacting with the guide. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any of the products that we train on. We are purely trainers. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to pick up where the other class left off, which was working with functions. And we're going to look at some more math functions, some logical functions, some text functions. So we're going to dig deeper into functions. Then we'll look at large spreadsheets and how to sort, filter, and work with large spreadsheets. We'll talk a little bit about how to create charts and also how to print spreadsheets. So we're going to start, and I'm going to go ahead and narrow this down. I'm assuming everybody knows how to get to Excel. If you need any of that basic information, we do have that in the other class. So I'm just going to jump right in, launch Excel here. And this is, I know, small to look, kind of small for you to read. This is mostly my cheat sheet for the things I want to show you. And here's the Excel spreadsheet where we're going to be working. So I'm going to open a spreadsheet that I set up for this class.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
And, whenever it fits into your thingy. So if I'm learning SQL, how do I set up my my spreadsheet so I can inhale it into SQL and manipulate the data?
Yeah, that's beyond this class. Where
Okay,
if we get into an
fine.
advanced class, we could probably cover that. I have done that many moons ago, but I don't remember how to do it off the
I
top
know
of
you
my
have to
head
use
either.
like the delimiters, the commas. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it gets a little tricky. So yeah, if we
Okay,
get
moving
enough
on.
interest for an advanced class, that's something we could cover in that one. Okay, so we're going to pick up here, and I'm going to use what I call calculators. And Excel calculators are where you take information that you use frequently and create a little calculator. And it's and in the calculator, you put your assumptions in the top and your calculations in the bottom. So for an example, this is a calculator to estimate a pizza party cost. Let's assume that I work for an organization, and once a month we have a pizza party, and it's my job to order pizzas and pay for the pizzas. So this is the calculator. The top part has the assumptions: how many guests, how many slices is each person going to eat, how many slices are there per pizza, what's a pizza cost, and how big of a tip am I going to leave. And I want it to tell me how much it's going to cost for the pizza party. So we're going to build the calculator, build the formulas and functions into it. And just this is primarily a review of the basic math parts of spreadsheets before we jump into some of the more advanced functions. But so we need to figure out how many total slices of pizza do we need. So that's a formula. Formulas always start with an equal sign. And I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, but if I do something that you don't understand or need me to do it again, just unmute and say, okay, I didn't get that part. So I'm going to start with an equal, and I want to multiply the number of guests. So I'm just going to click on that. I could type B4, much easier to click, times the number of slices per person. And the result is that I need 30 slices of pizza. Here's my formula. I can also see the formula by double clicking on the cell. Either way works. I can edit it in the cell. Once I double click, I usually edit my formulas up here. Excel gives you different ways to do the same thing. Okay, so now I know how many slices. Next, I want to know how many pizzas. Yes.
Wait, would you do? Okay, now what did you do initially? You just clicked on the cell.
Yeah, and I'm going to do 3 or 4 more of these. So
Okay.
let me do another formula. So I'm going to do a formula now to figure out how many pizzas we need. So to start a formula, you just type equal. So formulas always start with an equal. And so in this case, I want to know, I know need 30 slices. So I want to divide 30. So I put 30. So you can type B11. So I'm really taking the contents of cell B11. I could type B11, but if you just click on it, it'll put B11 down there for you.
Okay.
Faster and less chance of making a typo. So I want to divide B11 by the number of slices per pizza. And that's up here, B6. Can I
Okay.
tap B6? It brings that down. I hit enter, and I need 3.75 pizzas. But when I call the pizzeria, they say they don't sell portions of pizza. So I need to round this to the nearest whole pizza. That's going to be a function. And again, functions are like predefined formulas, and they live up here. So if I click on the little down arrow here, it shows me the most commonly used functions here: sum, average, count. I don't see the one I need, but I can click more functions here. And I know I want to round, so I can just type here where it says search for a function. I'm going to say round. And I've got 3 options. I can round. And when you click on one, it tells you here what it does. Rounds a number to a specified number of digits. Round down, rounds it down towards 0. Round up, rounds it up away from 0. That sounds like the one I want, because I want to round up instead of down. I'd rather have a little leftover pizza than have people going home hungry. So that's the one I want. So I'm going to say, okay, let's use that one. It brings up a little window to help you do your function. So first you say, what number do I want to round? And I just click on it, and it copies B12 into there. And then it asks, how many decimal places do I want? And I want 0 decimal places. In functions, it always shows you over here as it's building it what the answer is going to be. And it tells me the answer is going to be 4, and that's what I'm looking for. I want to round up to 4 pizzas. So I say, okay, that looks good. And now I've got my rounded number of pizzas. Next, I want to know what the pizzas are going to cost. Another formula equals the number of pizzas I'm going to buy multiplied by, I hit the star. The cost per pizza is up here. So B13 times B7. And it's going to be $48, but I am going to leave a tip, being a generous person. So I need to calculate the tip. The tip is going to be equal to, and you always put the equal sign, the cost times the percent tip I'm going to leave. And there's my total, and my total is the sum of these 2 cells. Questions about how I put in the formulas, how that's working? All right.
Can I just say something really fast? I just want to thank you for doing an example that we can relate to instead of some big business model like we're working in a company.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, let's try and keep it kind of real here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, and the kind of the magic of doing it this way is that, as things happen, which they do, 2 people call up and say they're not coming. So now I'm only got 13 guests. I put in 13 here, everything recalcs, and I've got my results. In this case, it didn't change because even though 2 people left, I'm still rounding up to 4. But let's say all of a sudden 5 more people want to come. So now I'm up to 18 people. So, and also find out that the price of the pizzas have gone up to $14.25. So as things change, you can change your calculator and it updates your cost. That's what's kind of nice about them. I've built lots of little calculators like this, then just save that spreadsheet and you've got it for the next time you need it. Questions before I move on?
This really fast, like up at the top, the big fat ribbon, and you kind of, it says formulas or something up there. Is that something that just is always on all Excel, or you have to pull out the right, what am I looking for? The right ribbon that has all the functions for formatting and functions?
Yeah, the ribbons are all up there, and I'm using the home ribbon, and
Right.
that has this little shortcut.
Okay.
Now, if you come up here to formulas, it has lots and lots of functions, and we're going to talk about some other types of functions.
Thank you.
But home has lots of shortcuts, so you don't have to move away from home too often. So most of what I could do from up here, I can do over here just as well. So I like to save myself a click. Good question. All right, let's move on and talk about more functions. We've kind of been talking about functions. So let's move to a different scenario. And here I'm part of a not-for-profit, and we're raising funds, doing a fundraiser. And these are the people that have contributed so far to our organization. And we're not getting as many people donating as we had hoped. So let me click on my cheat sheet over here. So basically what they've decided to do is to give a free gift to anyone that donates over $50 to say that they get some more people to donate. And they want me to modify the spreadsheet to show them who gets a free gift. So I added a column for free gift, and now I need to put a function in there to figure that out. I'm going to go up here to my functions. And again, I don't see anything that I'm looking for. I'm going to click more functions. What it shows you down here is the ones you've reused most recently. So again, often than not, what you need is in here. And I want to use an if function, and I see it's already here, so I can just select this. And what the if function does is you test if something is true or not. That's the logical test. That's the if part. And then you say if it's true, you do one thing. If it's false, you do something else. So in this case, what I want to say, if the donation, so I'm going to click here, is greater than 50, that's the test. If it is, then they get a gift. So I'm just going to say, put the word gift in the column. And I'm not going to put anything in the bottom one just to show you what happens if you don't. So I'm going to say, okay. And again, you can look over here and see if it looks right. And it says that it is true, and it is. 52 is greater than 50, so I should get the word gift, and it does. So I'm going to say okay, and there's my result, and that looks right. I need to copy this formula down. There's two ways to do it. I'll show you both. One way is just to grab this bottom right corner and pull down, hold the left mouse button, and it'll copy that formula down. So I'm getting gifts where I should be getting gifts, but I got this ugly false because it's basically saying my test was false. I don't want that on my spreadsheet. So what I can do, I could delete this and start over with the table. But if you understand the functions, you can edit the function up here. So I'm going to put comma, meaning, and tell it what to do if it's false. And I just want to put a space. So I put double quote, space, double quote. Text always has to be inside double quotes. So in this case, now it says, if it's greater than 50, put the word gift. If it's not greater than 50, put a space. I'll show you the other way. I'm just going to use the left mouse button and select those cells and do Control D for control down, copy down. And it copies it down, gets rid of all those ugly falses. And while I'm in here, I may as well center that, make it look a little nicer. And so now I've got my spreadsheet. As I add more people, it'll calc and tell me if I need a gift for that person or not. Questions on that one?
This is totally off the wall, but since I do know a little bit of programming, and I love how these functions are like teeny weeny baby programs, is there any way I can, is this based off like a Visual Basic or some programming language, inside it?
Probably, I don't know if it is, but there's clearly something in there that this is inputting information into some type of a program that does the work and presents the result. Yeah. Okay, let's do another one. We're going to change it around. Same function. We're going to shift things around a little bit. We had a Rich Texan say he was going to help us out, and anyone.
Wait,
yes.
I have a question. So
Sure.
are you going to show us a chart on this one later?
We're going to do a chart on another table. Yes, we are going to do charts.
Okay, but could we see a chart on this one?
We could. This one's, yeah.
Would you come back to it so that
If we have time, we'll come back over here. I have another one that lends itself a little better to charting than this one does, but we can come back here as well. So remind me when we get to the charting part.
Okay, thank you.
And if we have time, I can chart on this one as well. Okay, so we have a Texan that said he's going to add $20 to any donation from another person in Texas. So I need to do another. So now I need to know what the total donation is incorporating the gift from the Texan. So I'm going to do another if statement, if function. So I'm going to do more functions, do if again. So I just say, okay, that's the one I want. In this case, instead of testing a numerical test, I'm going to do a text test. So I'm going to say if this cell is equal to TX for Texas. So you can test based on text strings as well as numerical functions. So if that's true, then the total donation is going to be equal to the individual's donation plus the $20 that's going to be added. If it's false, then it's just the amount of the donation itself. And so here's my calculation. This one looks right. It's 52. That person's not from Texas. Let's copy it down and check a few more. Here's one from Texas, 20. It's now 40. Looks like it's working correctly. So that's another variation of the if. Lots of different things you can do with that if function. Very flexible. Now, they come back to me again. These people have lots of questions and things they want to add. So they say they need to know the full name of the person. I've got first name and last name in 2 different columns. They want the full name in 1 column. So I can click here and do a right click and insert. Give me a new column. This is going to be full name. And I'm going to use another function. This is a text function. All right. And I go away. I don't want you there. Thank you. All right. So let's come back down here to more functions. And I'm going to use one that's already here. This is concatenate is what I want to do. I want to concatenate this cell and this cell. Again, if it's not here and I need to go look, what I can do when we showed this, I can go up here into the formulas tab and it breaks them into the different types of functions, logical text, date and time. So I can say, show me all the text ones and I can kind of scroll through until I find something that sounds like what I'm looking for. And concat sounds like what I'm looking for. When I hover over it, it says concatenates a string or range of text strings. Sounds like what I want to do. So let's take a look at that one. So what I want to do is to take this cell and I want to have first name, last name, but I don't want to have first name, last name right up against each other. And if I do this and it shows me what I'm going to have, it's got Sylvia Armstrong, but with the first name and last name jammed in together. I don't want that. So I'm going to put a space there, double quote, space, double. And then I'm going to put the last name. And again, that's where it comes in handy to look at the answer before you finish. Now that looks like what I want. I say, okay. And there's my full name. The little trick, it's chopping off part of it. But if I come up here to where I get the double arrows and double click, it will resize to fit the widest cell in that column. Now I just need to copy this down. I'm going to do the keyboard shortcut this time, Control down. And I'm chopping a few more off. So I'm going to double click here again to widen it out. And now I've got the full name. Questions on that one? Okay. All right.
Could you have merged the cells? Or that's a whole different class
Merge them.
instead? Or that wouldn't have been as nice looking?
Probably not. Yeah. In this case, there's several different ways to get to the same result. I think doing that, the function puts it in the same cell. And that's a fairly easy function. But yeah, that's one thing about Excel. There's lots of different ways to get to the same end result. And okay, let's do one more function before we're done. There's no questions on that one because the last thing is how many gifts do we need to order? How many people are getting a gift? And yeah, with this table, I can count, but let's say we've been really successful and now there's over 250 donors. So I don't want to scroll through 250 rows counting. So I want a function to tell me how many people get a gift. So I'm going to come down here, put it where I want the answer. I'm going to come back home here so I can get back to the way I like to get to my functions, more functions. And I want to count. So let me show me all the counts. And again, there's lots of different ones here. If you're not sure which one, if you click on it, it'll tell you what it does. Count if sounds like what I want to do. Counts the number of cells within a range that match a given condition. Sounds like what I want. So I'm going to pick that one. This one works a little different in that you first tell it what range of cells you're working on. And I want it to look in these cells, I2 through I20. And then what am I looking for? I'm looking for the string GIFT. Not grift, gift, GIFT. That looks better. And it actually tells me here that there's 6. That's right. So I'm going to click and there are indeed 6. If I change this to be Texas. Oops, no, maybe it changes to be 55. It's going to add another gift. This is going to update to 7. So. Okay, so those are some functions. There's lots more, just kind of whet your curiosity a little bit. So go and investigate those in more detail. If no questions, I'm going to move on to working with larger data sets. And so here's another table. This has salesperson by region, and then it has their sales for each month. So we're going to, so for navigating around this spreadsheet, looking at the data, we're moving down here. Okay, all of a sudden now I've lost my top row. So I don't know what month I'm in, especially if I'm way over here somewhere. I've lost all context of what the dates are. I'm going to do another keyboard shortcut, Control Home, takes me back to the upper left. So I want to lock this top column. So to do that, I'm going to go into View and Freeze Panes. And there's got one here that says Freeze Top Row. That's what I want to do. So I freeze the top row. Now when I scroll down, my top row stays where it is. So that's solved a problem. I've got another problem though. If I come over here, I know what month I'm in, but I don't know which salesperson I'm looking at now or what region they're in. I'm going to do a Control Home, come back home again. There's a way to do that as well. I'm going to go back into Freeze Panes and unfreeze what I did, put it back like it was. It's not frozen anymore. If you want to freeze rows and columns, you can put your cursor where your first true data point is. Everything above is column headers. Everything to the left are my row headers. So I'm going to come back into Freeze Panes, and the little icons really show you what it's going to do. This freezes just rows. This freezes just columns. This freezes rows and columns. I click that one, and now if I scroll down, nothing moves. And if I move over to the right, it locks those first 2 columns. So no matter where I am in the spreadsheet, I know which month I'm working in and which salesperson and region I'm working in. Questions on freezing panes? Very handy with a large spreadsheet. Let me do. All right, so the next thing you want to do frequently with large spreadsheets is to sort them. And so if I'm going to sort this table, I click in the upper left corner here to select the whole table. And now I'm going to move over to Data and Sort. First thing I need to tell it is if that first row is data or if it's a header. And in my case, these are headers, not data. So I don't want this one to be sorted down into the table. I want it to stay at the top. So I say my data has a header. It won't sort that header row. Now I can tell it how I want it to sort it. And let's say I want to sort it by a region. So I'm saying, okay, so it now sorts by region, all my east, all my north, all my south, all my west. So that helps, but maybe I also want to sort it by salesperson within region, get a little more organization to it. I can go up back into sort and add another level. So now I can say sort by region, and then within region, sort by salesperson. I can also say whether I want it to be alphabetical or reverse alphabetical. Just for funsies, we'll make this one reverse alphabetical and flip it so that it's now Wes is first, but I'm sorting salesperson alphabetically within region. I could also, and what might be more realistic, and I don't really care what their names are if I'm the head of the sales, I care about who's performing best. So instead I want to sort it by region, but then by January sales. And I want it largest to smallest. I want to see who's performing the best. And so now it's sorting each region by sales. Questions on sorting? You can add more and more levels. While we're in the data tab, another related function is filtering. And this is the filter icon. So if I click this, it's now added little drop-down arrows beside each one of the columns. And this allows me to filter the data, which again, in very large spreadsheets, this is very helpful. Let's say I'm responsible for the South and the East regions. I don't have anything to do with the others, so I don't care about them. So I'm going to say, don't show me the North and the West, just show me the South and the East. Say, okay, and it's now filtered that table to show me just the South and East regions. If you're familiar with hiding rows, there's a way to hide rows. If I want to hide a row, I just select it and then right click and say hide. What it's done, as you can see, it's hidden those rows. They're still in the table, but it's hidden everything between 15 and 24. So that's how the filter is working.
What about when you print? Will it skip? You go from 15 right to the 24?
It will. It'll print what you see.
Jack, wait, could you do that again, the hide the row, please?
Well, hiding the rows, let me undo what I've done. So when you filtered something, it shows you this little filter icon. It's the same as this one. So I know that my table is filtered. So if I want to get it back to the full table, I can just say clear the filter. And now it's back. I can tell by the icons that I'm not filtering. I could have done, if I want to do that myself, if I want to get rid of the West myself, I could just say, pick all these rows from the West, do a right click and hide. And then get rid of the North. So I could do this without the use of the filter. It just takes me more time. And I've got more work to do to unhide it because now I have to go unhide. And where's my other ones up here? Unhide. So it really is just giving you a faster way to do what you could do yourself by hiding, but filters are a lot faster.
Can you do an undo?
If you've done, I haven't tried that. I would think you could. Let's do this one again. Well, let's do a different one, then we'll try it there. Because the other thing you might want to do is also to say, I'm only interested in certain salespeople. I've got a few that I want to check on for whatever reason. So I'm going to unselect all and just say, show me just this salesperson and this salesperson and this salesperson and maybe that one. So it does the same thing. It hides everything except the ones that I said to select. And here's my undo. And yes, undo does undo it. So you could click the undo up there, or you could have come in here and click the undo from down here. Either one does the same thing. I'll show you another one. What I can also do, let's say I want to see, I'm now the head of the company and I don't care about the regions. I want to see who my top performers are. So I want to see everybody that's has sold more than 10,000. So I can do a number filter and say greater than 10,000, and you can see, or than 1,000. And And you can see you can get this fairly complex. You can do adds. So I could say greater than 1,000 and something else or something else. So you can build some fairly complex logic into here. I'm going to keep it simple. And hello, why did it not work? Oh, I got it. January 20. January 20 is good. Okay, bye. No. Okay. I don't know.
Did
why
you
that-
mean to say greater than 10,000?
Yes, thank you.
You put 1,000.
I did indeed. Somebody with sharper eyes than mine. Let's make that 10,000.
One more zero.
Yep, I was off my zeros. Now that works. Okay. So you can work with numbers, and it even has some predefined ones in there. So I could say the top 10. And it'll show me the top 10. Now they're not in order, but I can do that from here as well. I can say sort largest to smallest, and now I've got my top 10 ranked from the highest sales to the lowest sales. So again, lots of things you can do using filters. Okay. Other questions there?
Just by chance, does it still use macros? I mean, don't go into it, but does it still Visual Basic macro that you write it in, or something different now?
I have not used them in quite a while either, so I haven't looked into the macros.
Great, thanks.
I've seen them there. I know they're still there, but I haven't tried those in a while. So, yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah, lots of things that it does. I'm going to probably do an advanced class just because I want to go and play with those things again. Too, pivot tables. I haven't done pivot tables in a long time, but they're in there as well. Let's look at charting. It's the next thing, and I'm going to use the one here, and then we can go back and look at one of the other ones if you want to. But I've kind of got this one set up that works well for charting. So this is a bookseller, and they sell books, and they break it into genres so they can tell which genre is selling the most. So these are the genres, and these are the sales per month. So if I want to get some visual help in seeing what's going on, I can click here and come up to insert. And here's my charts section. And one thing it does, which is nice, is it recommends charts for you. It looks at the type of data you're using, and it will tell you what are the best types of charts. So for instance, I could do a pie chart, but a pie chart wouldn't make sense with this data because there's more than one data set in there. But a clustered column works fine. And it even kind of shows you what they're going to look like. So you can eyeball it first and say, yep, that looks pretty good. And so you can say, okay. And there's my chart. And you can go in and change the title. Whatever. And you can move these around, as you can tell. So I can move this up over here. I may go back and decide I want to do a different type of chart. So I can go back to insert. And if I want to just come here, and it'll show me all the different types of charts. So I like the bar charts, but I like the triple column, the 3D columns instead of the 2D. So I say, give me that one instead. And so now I get that 3D column. So if I don't want that one, I can delete it and get rid of it and start all over again. I'll go back into recommended. Let's look at a line chart instead. And there are also some settings over here where you can decide if you want to have axis titles as well as, so you can put a name over here explaining what this is in case it's not obvious. You can put the data table underneath it where it has all the actual data. So So you can get much more complicated, but if you just want a simple chart, it's very simple to add a chart to the data set. Let's go back. What was it? This one that somebody wanted to chart. And this one is kind of tricky because what in particular were you looking for in this one? Because this one doesn't lend itself real well to charting because again, with these are only numbers.
Well, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
What,
let's.
well, see, what kind of chart can you do on that?
I think there's not anything I could do without really organizing it. If I wanted to have donations by state, I could probably get a chart to do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Something like
So
that.
how would you do that?
That one's going to be.
Can I just think, like, if you hid some of those thingies you don't want and then like select, would that work? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm going to play just a second. I don't have much time to play with this this is what I wanted to chart, but I really wanted to total it. So I think it's still going to be hard to do a chart out of this. We'll see if it's going to recommend anything. So it's here it'll show me my data by state. I could probably do a pie chart with this as well, but you could do this one, or you could do it as a horizontal instead of a vertical. So yep, there's one you could do, and it shows you how much each state contributed.
Remember how like you can do this control thingy where you select like maybe every other column or something and then do your chart? Would that work? Do you know?
It probably would. I'm just curious to see. Okay, and you can do a pie chart too, since it is only one data, so you can do a pie chart. Yeah.
How about if you want to give one on the gifts, with the donations and the gifts?
You could just let's test. Let me try one other thing here to see if you can pick. So you can pick those, insert recommended chart. And all it's going to show you there is charts versus gifts versus no gift.
Okay, that's good.
And then here's gifts by state. So yep, you can. So, and that did work, Carol. So I did just pick the did a select. And let me get out of this. Go back into more function. Yeah, so in case people didn't notice, so I wanted to graph this column and this column, so I just selected this column, hit the control button, and then click the other one and say I want to graph these two columns against each other. And then or you can do if you want the states, and the free gifts was the other one. So just do that. So, okay. So other questions about the charting? Let me go back to charting and start talking and talk a little bit about printing. Let's go back here.
Just real fast, if you hit Control Z, would it get you out of the thingy you're in?
Not sure.
Okay, don't worry. I don't want to take up your time.
Yeah, okay. So let's say I've done this and now I'm ready to print. So let's go up to File, Print. And it'll show you what it's going to print. And it basically defaults to printing what's on that sheet. But I don't really want the table. I just want my chart. What I can do is I can go back here, and if I select the chart, now I can go File, Print, and it will print just the chart. So you can select a portion of a sheet to print, or if you don't select something, it'll print the whole thing. And you can also print the entire workbook. So if I want to print the entire workbook, I can do this, and it's going to now print 12 pages, starting with the first workbook, going through all the different workbooks and all the different sheets in that workbook. Which there's been cases where I wanted to print an entire workbook. So, but those are your three primary options. a section of a sheet, an entire sheet, or the entire workbook. Okay, let me go. I'm gonna go back over here and I'm just gonna go into data and turn those filters off. That's the other way to get rid of everything and put it back like it was. If I want to print this one, oops, and I want to print just the selected sheet. It defaults to shrinking it so it'll fit on one page, which works, but you'd have to have a magnifying glass to read this. So that's called the scaling down here. And I want to take that off and let's go to no scaling and see what it looks like. Now I can read it, but it's 6 pages.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a problem. But you know, one of those pages only has 2 rows on it. So I can probably fix that by just going in here to my margins. And I can do custom margins. And hang on, let me try this for.
Oh,
Oh, there it is, custom margins. That's what I'm looking for. And let's make it smaller at the bottom and smaller at the top and see if it'll fit by shrinking the margins at the top and bottom. Okay, now it does. So I'm down to 3 pages. So that fits. I could even give it a little bit more at the top because I've got some extra space here. So you can play with the margins, but it's not solving my other problem. I've still got 3 pages. Plus I've got the same problem I had. The first page has my salesperson and region. The rest don't. They just got data. So I need to do something equivalent to freezing panes here. And I can do that by going to page layout. And this is a little cryptic, but it's under print titles. But I can say that I want to repeat columns at the left. So I can say repeat this column and this column. So now it's saying repeat columns A and B. And I can actually print preview from here to see if that's doing what I want it to do. So there's my first one. Here's my second one. I can still see which salesperson and which region. So now that's legible. So that's a way to do the equivalent of freeze panes, but when you're printing. You can also do the other typical things of changing between landscape and portrait and some other things, but those are the main things I want to talk about. Questions about printing? If not, I got time for 1 or 2 general questions and before we go into the closing. Anything I went over too quickly or anything else? Okay, if not, I think I've covered everything. Let me see, printing. Yes. All right, so let's go ahead. If there's no questions, we'll go ahead and go to the closing. I'm going to just shrink this down. And so that's the end of the actual Excel class. And I do want to thank you for attending the class. And hope if you're enjoying your experience and you're a social media person, we welcome your sharing your experiences on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you're comfortable doing that, if you want to tell us about your experience and have us post it for you, you can send it to Liz at getsetup.io. That's Liz, and she will post it for you on our Facebook page. A couple of related questions.
Thank you, Wade.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Couple of related classes. There's Organized with OneNote. OneNote is a Microsoft note-taking tool, great tool. And then OneDrive, which is the cloud service that Excel and the other Microsoft tools use. So those are some related classes. I'll show you how to find those classes in a few minutes. Let me go to the closing slides here and make sure you know what's going to happen after class, especially if anybody's new to Get Set Up. There'll be an email coming out after class. It has several sections in it. It has a class notes section, which will have some links to other websites, that will cover some of the same material we covered in class, as well as some related material we didn't cover in class. So if you want to do some independent research, there's some good links there. If you want to recommend the class to a friend, you enjoyed the class, you want to recommend it to a friend, there's a link. You can share it via Facebook or email. There's 3 classes. It'll be in the email. If you want to take one of those classes, just click the link. It'll take you straight to the registration page on our website. Makes it really easy to sign up for that class. There's a give feedback link that opens up our feedback form. Again, very quick to give feedback. Rate the session 1 to 5 stars. Just click on the stars. Rate the guide 1 to 5 stars. Same thing. There's a place for your comments. Comments are not required, but they're greatly appreciated. And then you can just click done. There is also a area here where you can just provide any general feedback you want to provide as well. We're always looking for ways to improve our classes. So any feedback you have, you can put here as well. Hopefully you're enjoying being part of the Get Set Up community, and there's lots of other ways you can interact with the community. If you want to host an interest group, we're always looking for people to host interest groups. So for instance, we don't have a Microsoft Excel interest group. So if you'd like to get together with other people that are Excel enthusiasts, share functions and things that you're doing, that's something that if you'd like to host that group, let us know by sending us an email at help@getsetup.io. If there's a new class you'd like to see us offer, if you want us to do that advanced Excel class, you can send that information to the same email address. If you belong to any organizations and you want us to talk to them and get them to get set up with their members, just send us the name of that organization and we'll contact them. And finally, we mentioned at the top of the class, you can request a copy of the recording. Again, send it to help@getsetup.io. Be sure to include the name of the class and the date you attended, because only people that attended the class can get a copy of the recording. The last link in the email is View Schedule, and that takes you to our website where you can book a class. A couple of new things I want to point out on our website. We're continually adding new features. This link at the center of the homepage will take you to your schedule. So if you click that, it takes you to all the classes you're already registered for, and you can launch into any of the classes from this page. If you want to browse classes by schedule, you can click browse and it'll show you by date and time what classes we're offering. And you can also still search by categories. So if you're looking for health and wellness classes or financial planning classes, it filters all the classes based on these categories. And as always, if you know what you're looking for, so maybe you want to go back and take that Excel Basics. If you haven't taken that one, you can just start typing the name and it'll find it. So here's Excel Basics. You can click that. And maybe you have a friend you want to take the class at the same time. You can tell a friend about it by clicking here, and it will send them a link, and you can tell them you're going to take the class. Why don't you sign up? We'll take it together. You can send it via Facebook, WhatsApp, or email. And then the latest thing that we just added this week that a lot of people have asked for is if you have a particular guide that you like and you want to take more of that person's classes, you can search by guide now. So if you want to take more of my classes, which I hope you will, you can just put in my name here and hit enter, and it'll show you all the classes that I am going to be teaching in the next 2 weeks. So you can scroll through and select a class from here. So if you want to take that OneNote class I was just talking about, you can book that right from here. Any questions or problems anybody's had with the website or booking classes? Right. If not, we're going to go ahead and stop. I do want to thank you for attending. I hope you enjoyed the class, and I hope I see you again in another class soon. Have a great afternoon. Thanks,
you so
everybody.
much.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was great. Thanks.
Thanks. Great. Have a great afternoon.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.